Yeah. You already know. Kappa Kappa. Young millionaires. The general. Okay, I wake up every day, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling great. Every day I'm getting paid, man, this life is going great. I just wanna celebrate, I made it in and out of state. $1 million in the case, I got it hidden somewhere safe. I multiply all my millions, really, I wanna be at least put my millions with my family. This is just the beginning, I purchased a Lamborghini. Driving around the city, believe me, you haven't seen me. Made it through all the struggle, defeated all of my rivals. I was never entitled, I had to fight for survival. Man, this life is amazing, it's crazy, that's where we made it. Now I'm living my dreams and I'm perfect, just getting started. The struggle back when I was very worried. Now I'm chilling in my condo in Lamborghinis and Bugattis. I know you're in a hurry, but I promise don't be worried when you see me in the club. Already got enough to party. I'm a multi-millionaire, getting money everywhere. I ain't tripping on nobody, I just came to celebrate. Yeah, we got the party popping, got the general over here, throwing money in the air, cause we get it every day. I multiply on my millions, I'm a year, my people winning. Moving city to city, I promise that you will see me driving a Lamborghini, but this is just the beginning. $1 million Bugatti, I'm stacking money in the ceiling. Multiply on my millions, I'm a year, my people winning. Moving city to city, I promise that you will see me driving a Lamborghini, but this is just the beginning. $1 million Bugatti, I'm stacking money in the ceiling.
What's up, guys? This is the Truth Podcast live from the grill on San Mateo. We got Nikki G, we got the Big John, we got Winston Carson here. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Watching you guys good?
Absolutely.
I'm freaking excited. Feedback. You're getting some feedback. It's weird, John. What you got?
Because you have your ears on.
Think everything's off. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's still feedback.
The feedback.
Why?
Is this muted?
That one's muted.
What about now? There, it's gone, right?
Test 1, 2.
Test one. Okay, you would have got the feedback. I was a little weird there, but Nikki G, I was
Needed my touch.
God damn it, I was kidding. Hey guys, you know what's crazy? I'm really excited about today's podcast. I'm always excited about the podcast, but today I'm really excited because I think this podcast today is really going to be able to talk about every single individual out there that's listening, right? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I think everyone that's listening is doing great things in their lives or already on the road to doing great things, and they got some movement going. So who wants to read out the topic for me? It's on there that we put out there.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is this level and then the type of criticism that you'll receive. So that's the thing that we're going to talk about, and we're going to look at some different aspects, whether it's political figures or sports figures. We have a great video to play that'll kind of go along with this topic.
Great. So I'm going to tell you what, guys. So that's our PC version, right? I'm going to give you the general's version. Is how can you measure greatness? And who is doing the measuring of greatness? And at the point in time, are the people great that are measuring it. And that's one thing I want you to really stay focused on when you're going through this shit, right? And so I want to talk about, we're going to give that kind of example. You want to play that video, John?
Yeah, let's go ahead and cue this. And this was right after the Lakers won their championship. And let me go ahead and add it to the stream. We'll go full screen, and I think it's really great.
Let me ask you a question. And be honest. Why you hate LeBron James? Is it the MJ thing? Is it playing in the Eastern Conference most of his career? It's taking the silence to South Beach, huh? This the man you want to see fail. Man's done nothing but give his all since day one. Same guy that's done nothing but invest in his community as much as he invests in his craft. He wasn't supposed to be here. An inner city kid with no father figure in his life and a single mother doing everything she could to put food on the table. This might be the American dream. The spotlight been on him since before we had camera phones. Them same expectations knew that then. You got it at 16. 17 years. 17 years of consistency and expectation. 17 years of dominance. You never see anything like this. You might not ever see it again. So you better appreciate greatness while it's here.
You know what me and LeBron James have in common? We both came out in 03, and we're still killing it. You know, it's crazy. When I watch that video and he says that, it just like hits me hard in my soul, and I'm just like, want to jump out of this chair and just do greater things in life, right? I'm gonna tell you something. It's like anything you're doing great, and that's what I'm talking about my own self. Everything I've done, I've been criticized left and right, personally, business-wise. You should do this. I mean, one of the funny things is why I'm such a good mentor and why I like to mentor people. And Carson will tell you this because this is stuff that I've told him since the first day I met him. People never tried to help me along the way. It was almost like kicks in the nuts the whole way. And I used to wonder, what is it that people don't like me? Why is it? This has happened to me since third grade. But that adversity, you just couldn't break me. And at that moment, I knew that if I rose to greatness above everybody, that I would just let all my accomplishments and what you do shine. And it doesn't matter. Then at that moment, when someone has an opinion about your accomplishments or the person you are or what you've done, it really ain't shit when you measure it up to them, right? And that's what kind of the focus that we want to talk about. I mean, most of the people out there, just so you guys know on camera, I'm a LeBron James fan, baby. Not a hater here. LeBron James fan. Because I love to see great shit from small town community guys. Look at that story. I think that's just so powerful. And I think what I was really seeing about this is, you hear all this social media haters about, oh, the NBA only got this many views, but when Michael Jordan was there, and you're like, where are you getting all these statistics? And is it all bullshit, right?
Oh, because back then they only had 3 freaking channels, right?
Yeah.
And no distractions like they have today. So, but people who hate, they just don't hate the NBA. They also hate black people. They hate the Black Lives Matter movement. They hate anything that has to do with diversity. So they're going to be the first ones to stick a knife in people's back to find any type of weakness because they can never ever do it themselves.
You know what the sad part is, John? The most people I see the negative posts, it's all minorities. And that's the shit that just drives me nuts, right? It's minority. I'm not even seeing white people hate. I'm seeing minorities talk the most shit. And so they should, instead of them, they should be the LeBron James freaking advocate, but they're all there hating, right? And I'm like, do you realize where you stand? Did you realize what you look like when you look in the fucking mirror?
Oh, I know.
Like, it makes me laugh, right?
But Carson's talked about this. The minute you got success, the haters came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your people in your own community that you thought were part of you, they were the first ones to stick a knife in that back.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it's jealousy. I think it's truly
It's what it is, and it's funny. Me and Jack call it. I don't know. He calls it that now, but I call it the New Mexican curse. Is where a lot of people don't want to see you rise.
That's being harsh on New Mexico because look at Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
And it's
wherever
really
you live.
any smaller city or big city too. I mean, it's all there. But yeah, as soon as, people see you start to rise up, then it's like, oh, well, we want to go send business elsewhere or do this or that. And a lot of my, I've had a lot of friends that have done that, you know what I mean? Where they sent business elsewhere instead of coming to me. And it's like, really? With my experience, I'm far better, the better person to deal with.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy to see.
Well, the thing of the action is like the shit that I always tell you. I mean, I know that I was calling this morning talking about some real estate transaction. What it is, you go to your resources, right? And it's crazy to me when you see someone that's come up and is young and knocked the shit out of the ballpark. You got to say, well, that guy's got the stamina. He got the knowledge. So that's the guy I got to work with. You got to work with the old fuck that's not gotten shit done for I don't know how long and done the same amount of deals. That's a bad choice.
Well, even like our conversation we had this morning, Jack calls me and he's like, hey, what are the taxes on this property? And I'm like, all right, give me 2 seconds to pull it up, boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, here's the numbers. And, it's all about mastering the craft. It's 100% even, like the top athletes. LeBron James has done it. Anyone that's achieved greatness has mastered that. And for me to be able to do that, I mean, what I did there, it would have taken agents with no experience a whole day, maybe even a week to get him the numbers that he was looking for. And that's just what it's about.
Hunger versus complacency.
Yeah. That too.
Or just, the ability's not there. Sometimes the ability, as, Nikki walked in there, she's kicking ass, she's doing her workouts. And then she had made a statement, right, Nikki? She comes in, she's going to be hard on herself, talking about the fucking BNI. I said, where are you getting those statistics from? And she's like, oh, I got this. She's going to show me an app, and I didn't want to look at it. And I said, because there's only 2 things you can get it from, right? The dunk tank or someone's using calipers. And I think that's what I'm afraid of, right? And that's why I don't want you guys to get caught up in that bullshit. You know how many people have opinions about my life and what they say or their opening lines? I'm looking out for you. I'm like, how can you look out for me when you've been looking down your whole life and I live in the sky? You can't be looking out for me. We're in the same whole different levels of life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm trying to tell you?
Yeah.
And so what it really is not looking out for you, saying, I want you to come down to my level so we can talk about this, A, B, and C. And you got to realize that ultimately, when you start to rise, you have to stay looking up and forward and forget about the road noise. You're just looking forward. And you'll find those like-minded minds. But let's use a figure, right? I'm going to start off with I'm going to use a sports figure, because we already talked about LeBron James. Let's talk about Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, what a loss, 2020. We lost him. But all of a sudden, now people love Kobe Bryant. The same haters are, oh, Kobe Bryant was this. Kobe Bryant didn't walk off the court and all that. But the same people were talking about that he had a sucky attitude, this, that, and the other. And it's like attacking the next guy, right? But he's no longer with us. But there's comparing that to LeBron James. Then same thing with MJ. Well, MJ at the time when he was playing ball, he's not the player who's known with the great attitude. That'd have been Magic Johnson. If you want to go with attitudes, right? You want to talk Larry Bird. But at the end of the day, it's like, who am I going to measure you to? Or when you're sitting there with someone, you've done something great, and it's like, well, you know what I heard? There's this one guy in LA, he's done this, and you want to be like, well, where are you at? You see, you can't get caught up on that. So you never measure yourself off anybody. You can look at someone and say, I aspire to be him. I mean, that guy's a badass. And you're not going to be in your fucking feelings and be like, well, that guy's not a badass, right? You know what I'm trying to tell you?
Mm-hmm.
And so you should be able to do that with yourself, right? But when you have the pissant that I like to call, sitting there giving you their opinions about yourself or what you're not doing or this, you got to sit there and ask yourself, am I crazy for listening to you? Am I even crazier for actually acknowledging you, right? Or what is it about yourself? Or what is it that person brings out of you, right? And you're going to have those people at work. You're going to have those people at home. You're going to have those
everywhere.
people in your fucking household. I don't care where it's at. That could be there, right? But the one thing is this. Learn to teach people how you're going to be treated. And it doesn't matter. And you got to let them know in that moment that they're irrelevant on what they're talking to you about, right? I'll give you a perfect example. I'm going to talk something from myself. We're working these pretty big Air Force deals, right? And someone out of my own camps like working and saying, "Oh, you know what? Maybe you should have done this, you should have done that." And I'm like, "Do you understand the scope of work?" And they can't even read the fucking scope of work. And there's 3 things in the scope of work I'm not going to go to in detail that spell out something specifically. And so if you're highly technical, you'd be able to read it and then say, "Oh, this is what the problem was," right? But they're always throwing their opinions, right? All this and that, the other, and I'm thinking, you don't even know shit about what you're looking at. So I'm not going to listen to you. But I think one of the things is when you start getting a little older, you're okay in just addressing people and letting them know that they're just dumb as shit, whatever is coming out of their mouth, right? Because you're doing a disservice to the community when you don't do that. We're letting someone just run their mouth and it really doesn't make any sense. But back to LeBron James, right? So you see all these, I'm just watching this shit on Instagram and the people that talk the most shit are talking about, you're hating on me and this and that and always doing this, and they're all conflicted as hell. And I'm thinking, you're talking about people hating on you, but you're hating on greatness. I'm fucking confused.
I think the psychological disorder is projection. They're projecting.
Yeah.
They're projecting their own misery, and they want to bring somebody else down, and they want to hate and they want somebody. It's like that toddler that throws a tantrum. They want attention.
Yeah.
You know.
What you see in someone else is a reflection of you. Everything's like pretty much a perception. I can tell on the way people treat people and the way they feel internally. And it's just something that everybody just covers up in scars and never really faces, but it's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Even for me, like I'll catch myself on where my mindset is towards something. And it's definitely a self-reflection and not necessarily what's happening, you know. I've been in the same place with a couple in Paradise, and I had an extremely amazing time, great experience, great food. And the same people going to the same restaurant, sleeping in the same condo, had just the most horrible experience. But, you know, it goes with what's their vibrational state. Like, where were they on the frequency of how they feel? So it's really such a self-reflection thing. But I really love the don't judge greatness, because growing up, one of the sayings I wanted to bring up earlier is I'd always hear, must be nice, instead of like, good for you.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that, man.
That's
You hear
just
that
like
all the time.
a northern New Mexico thing, or New Mexico. I don't know what it
that's
is.
New
but
Mexico for
I
sure.
would,
Human
I would
being
just
thing.
great,
No,
and I
that's a
would
human
get the must be nice, and I mean that's from
Yeah, I hate
family,
it. Yeah.
you know, grandmas,
100%.
you know, it's really crazy, but it's just one of those things that I always have to tell myself, it's our turn to break those paradigms that no longer serve us, you know.
Shit, I've never heard the phrase. No, I've never heard that phrase.
Must be nice.
Ever.
Ever.
Must be
Wow.
nice. Fuck. I've not heard that phrase. I'd have been ready.
You should hear that all the you should
I
Yeah,
want
you
to hear
should.
that all the time.
You know what you guys got? You guys are,
has a Lamborghini.
Must be
nice.
Yeah, it must be nice.
you guys were getting the PG version. I get the LeBron hate, dude.
Very good.
He's a drug dealer. I think that guy's a drug dealer. You know, he's like in the cartel. That's why he has those kind of.
You get the love up front though, and then you get the talk in the
Yeah,
background.
yeah. I never get the fucking must be nice
We
shit.
get the must be nice to our face. You get the
I get
so and
the
so said.
I get the well, yeah. You know this, and so you say so and so said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never gotten the must be nice.
Yeah, or you'll say something that you done great, and they have to squash. Well, that's great, but this is going on, and you know I can't get my dog
Yeah.
food, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing, you know. Where I've been now is like I really try to listen without thinking about what I'm going to say next, and it's been
Mhm.
such a big growth and experience, because technically we're always kind of ready, right? We're all playing this game, but now that I've really listened, a lot of people already are so quick to, before you even say your last word, they're like either attacking, like I think
Or
Les Brown
relating it
says
to
it.
their own problems.
Yeah. You know,
Always.
if you argue your limitations, you get to keep them, and that's such a true statement in so many ways. You know,
Mhm.
people want to convince me why their life's miserable, but
So
yet want me
stupid.
to help them. It
They
doesn't
would like
make
to be
sense.
victims.
Yeah.
And that's a big reason why for me, in going through, because last year was probably like the year where I hit, you know, success, I would say, for the very first time at that level. And for me, I just kind of stopped telling people things, you know, and even that still happens. Like I bought something and Jack's like, you didn't even tell me. And I'm like, well, I'm practicing not saying anything, you know, I'm just showing up with the result. And that's one thing that Jack has actually taught me is, don't be a talker. Just, you know, if the numbers are there, present the numbers. Here it is. It's either in or it's out. And that's kind of one thing where, you know, I'm at a point now to where I've had some things change this year and change my aspect on life. And it's like, you know, at the end of the day, if I die, I'm the only one dying. And I'm really trying to live. And, you know, I'd say I'm maybe being a little more selfish, and I think in a good way, because it's, you know, I'm doing certain things for me and I'm getting the experiences out of life that I want. And not so much, you know, sacrificing things of myself. And we've had to talk along a lot of times, because there have been times I would cancel like trips or do other stuff for other people. And Jack would always be like, why the hell are you doing that? like, you know, be a part of something, be there spiritually or do whatever. But he's like, at the end of the day, you still have to go out and do things and experience these certain things. And if you don't do this, then you may lose opportunity on this. And that was one thing, you know, this year that I've actually taken very serious and done, because it's always, you say something and it's like, oh yeah, it must be nice. Or, oh yeah, well, you know, we're not doing too good. And it's like, well, I made these decisions. Why can't you make the decisions for yourself? You know, and
Look,
that's,
I'm gonna tell you something. The kid fucking selling shoes under his thing. You know, I'm gonna tell you this little fucker. He comes in, he's got, I was laughing my ass off, right? Yeah, because I don't know this shit, right? But because I'm not like that, right? So I'm looking down. He comes to the house and he's talking shit. He's got a Richard Mille watch, right? And then so, you know, I had never. He's one that introduced me to this shit, and it's just something pretty. This is a huge accomplishment. This is a PB Hermanville. And I sat there, and you know what's funny is we drink this beer, and I told my dad doesn't know what I'm talking about, but he's excited, and he says, you know what? Of all the guys you mentored, he said, they're like stuck in his fucking head, huh? He's killing. I said, yeah. And my dad likes to egg him on. And he says, you know what's funny? He reminds me a lot of myself, because he really sees a lot of himself in there, right? Because he said he seemed more quieter, that. And he said, I wish someone would have pushed me so I rose to being a director on Los Alamos, because that's how smart he could have done it. And I said, yeah, I'm always on his ass. And it's funny that he says now, he says, just don't talk about it. Just fucking let it show. You know what I mean? And he has. And that to me is a huge accomplishment, because I don't know how many people I hear talking and this and that. And you're like, dude, you're still rolling in the same fucking Honda. And you're telling me this story. And it's not against Hondas. I like Hondas.
mm-hmm.
I don't want to get keep you hearted, right? I like everything. But at the end of the day, just let me run in your mouth. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And you have that opinion. I think the great thing what I want to really kind of really put in people's minds today is my famous line. The person that has the opinion about you, when you look across the table, would you trade your life for theirs? And we got to remind ourselves that, because what I'm going to tell you is true great people don't give a shit. You're not measuring anybody else. You could give less a crap. You're too busy measuring your own shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not going to be there like, oh, Joe, that guy could give us a crap.
No. And that was one thing I think that I had a strength in, because you told me the stories. A lot of people you brought in, they would be like, oh, well, Jack said, you know, he was already a multimillionaire at 30 and I'm 30 and I'm not going to make it. And for me, I've always told Jack, you know, regardless if I do it before you or after you, I'm just focused on my own path. I'm not comparing myself, or I'm not looking at, you know, I know a lot of kids look at the social media, or you look at Travis Scott and they're like, oh, this guy's like 27. He bought a $20 million house. How am I going to do it? And it mentally messes people up when they do that comparison, because it seems unreachable if they're not doing certain things by certain ages. And it's like, it's just all in time and preparation for what decisions you're making, you know?
One thing, if I don't look like Michael Horn by 50, I'm fucked. Just so you guys know, no matter what anyone says, I got to put that work in, right? I'm just telling you that right now. I got to put the work in, baby.
Yeah.
So that,
You just got to do it, dude.
Yeah, but
don't tell no one.
He tells me, we talk about that. I've been going hard, right? And we're talking about this kind of shit. And those one thing I loved about fitness, right? In fitness, it don't matter how much you talk. It doesn't matter what it is. It's what's going to show it. At the end of the day, you roll up there, you're going to see it. You're either going to see it or you're going to push it.
That's 100% truth.
You're only going
And
to
that's
see it
why-
or push it.
That's why I would just tell Jack, trust me, I'm strong. I'm smaller than you, but I'm strong. And then we finally got in the gym, and I was like, you believe me? He's like, oh, I didn't think you were lying.
Yeah, that's I think you're right.
Yeah, I posted earlier because it's so true. We can be taught stuff. We can be shown stuff. We can get the exact map how to accomplish anything, but no one will do it for you. Like no one. You know, and me on like this fitness journey, when I'm by myself, I kind of stop telling anybody anything, even though they're supporting me and everything. It's like when I'm there, like I face myself in the mirror and I was like, am I truly, you know, at my highest potential? And it's such an inner demon that I think a lot of people are afraid to battle themselves. They're really quick to judge other people, but not really look at ourselves. Like, what am I doing? What steps am I taking towards my dreams and desires? But no one can make us do anything but ourselves. Like it's literally up to our every move to do it ourselves. I have been in situations where I've been given all the softwares, all the stuff I needed, but if I didn't actually learn stuff, I would have never been good at it. Instead, I got better at it. And it's just one of those things that I think is like a lot of people think that you can get handed a map or, you know, some magical ticket, but at the end of the day, like, it doesn't mean nothing.
Just give me that ticket. I'll take the chance.
Yeah, it
If anyone wants to have
doesn't.
that ticket, give it to me, please.
I can agree with you 100% because I've been guilty of it in Lamb, and I'm kind of relating this to even like if Jack told me, hey, if you want to make $1 million in engineering, here's what I did, and I could listen to him, right? But it's all about, am I going to execute it? One, or am I going to do the exact steps he said, or am I going to try and be like, no, I'm gonna try this other thing on my own. I think it'll work, and then you got to learn the hard way. You know what I mean? And my mom would get on me when I was younger because when I was young, man, I was like, I used to love Floyd Mayweather. And now Floyd's like, I don't trust banks. I don't got credit. I just got cash. So then my mom's like, you need to get a credit card and this and that. And I'm going to authorize you. And I was like, no, I don't trust banks. I was like, I just want cash. You know what I mean? But she's like, this is why you had to do it. But I had to learn the hard way when I went to go and try to buy a crotch rocket. And I couldn't get a loan because I had no credit. But I was like, I almost have all the cash to buy this bike. And they're like, well, it doesn't matter. Even if we're giving you $700, you have no credit history, so we're not going to give you money. Yeah. And I couldn't get approved for anything. Wow. And it was in that moment I was like, holy shit, credit is everything. And then my mom's like, see, I told you went through all this stress and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I just had to learn the hard way, you know, because I was too hard-headed.
I like the shortcuts.
I do too, but I'm a hard-headed guy. I gotta, and then I think it sinks in more too. And I know tons of people are guilty of it. You'll hear where their parents tell them something their whole life, and then someone like Jax walks into their life and then tells them the same thing, and you're like, oh, well, I guess my parents knew what they were talking about, because you know some of this stuff.
They won't even admit that part. They'll be like, oh yeah, that person said it. And your parents will be like,
yeah, that's what my mom has done.
Yeah,
because I tell my mom, I forgot what it was, and I was like, yeah, Jack said I got to do this, and she's like, yeah, I've been telling you to do that. And I was like, yeah, well, I know, but you know, it's a little different that time. So it's just
that's literally one of the reasons that I became a coach 26 years ago, is that I realized that young people want an adult figure in their life. They just don't want it to be their parents.
Yeah, it's so strange.
You know? And I'm like, because I remember.
Because they're the enforcers, man.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, because they're with you all the time. And I think that adolescent mind yearns for wisdom. They just don't want it to be their parents.
You know what's weird, guys? I really didn't have that. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, it's funny because my mom was in my life very strong. Yeah. And I watch her and I would see her make money. And I remember one time where I'm doing flowers and she had a big old wad, and I was like, holy shit. So I wanted to mimic things fast. One thing that I learned about myself, and I really was thinking about this, what got me to success quickly, is I'm always looking for the person who's mastered it. And I'm not afraid to say, hey, I want the blueprints. What's it going to cost me? What do I got to do to get it? You know, so most people are like, you go in and you don't want to, like, they ask questions. I'm going to give an example. I watch guys like with William, and I'll use concrete. And they really don't know how to pour concrete, but they ask all these questions so that they can feel like they pull concrete. Then they order the concrete, then it's all fucked up. Right? Me, on the other hand, it's like, I'll listen to it. I'm like, okay, the guy knows what he's doing. Okay, now I need the guys to do this and this. And I say, hey, what are the shortfalls? What do we got to worry about? What are we going to do? And so when you think about that, that ultimately gives me the ideas of what I'm going to do. And so I'm always looking for the subject matter experts every single time. And I'm going to listen immediately because I don't want to put the work in that I don't have to.
Yeah. And I kind of like what I was talking about with John too. Even like the stories I told you, Lawrence, man, he'd be like, you know, I had to do trash. I had to cut the grass. I had to do all this. And I was like, this guy's a freaking jerk, man. I was like, I'm a slave over here. But I always say, if he would have never taught me these things, my work ethic would not be where it's at today, because he was the type, if the trash is full, you just take it out. You don't wait for someone to tell you to do something. Yeah. You just do it. If the grass looks long, you better go out and cut it, or he's going to get pissed off. Yeah. You know what I mean? And certain things like that. And when I was a kid, I was like, God bless, like just ask me when to do it or whatever. And then, you know, when I come out in the real world and start getting in my career and stuff, I'm like, holy crap. That same value is exactly what has gotten me to the position I'm in today, because I've always been, you see trash on the floor, pick it up, throw it away. You know what I mean? And certain things like that. And it's doing it because that's just where your values are. And when people see that, and it's not necessarily picking up the trash, but if something's wrong, fix it without anyone telling you to do it. And that's how you grow, and that's how you become a huge impact.
But you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised on that. And so much of this, like when I started at CA, there was no workbenches, right? And so, you know, I'm pretty good at carpentry. And so I remember asking them, I said, hey, is it okay if I come in early because they said, well, we're only going to pay you for this. It's hourly. But if you want to come in early, it's your thing. And so I was like, do I want to work these fucking computers on the floor on some chairs and this rinky-dink table? So I remember going to Hacienda Home Center, and I knew all the shit they cut, they would throw in the back. And so I found all these like tabletops. Not tabletops, the shit that you use, I forgot what it's called for the, like where you put your sinks and shit.
Countertops.
Countertops.
Yep.
It was all that Formica shit.
Yeah.
I got all that stuff, all
the
different
scrap.
colors
Yep.
that they had cut. And I said, can I have this? Guy like, yeah, we're about to have the truck come in. I had to measure the room. I came in, so I worked on this. So I get there at 4 o'clock in the morning, got my coffee rolling, and I start building these tables. I get them done. They come out and say, what the hell? So I was able to do is I was actually able to program 7 computers instead of 1. Because I had a workspace, right? Then I had the 2 plugs they had, so I connected 2 plugs. I had my AC, so now I was killing it. And I had my system in place, right? But you realize that, again, they were able to see and say, holy shit, this dude just takes the rainbow. He's not just sitting there for direction.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you do pick up the trash, you do that stuff. That's what I did. I stole all the trashes. I see them like that, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy throws the trashes. Automatically, they're like, this guy's a self-motivator. So guess what? I was the only one that never had to time in.
Yeah. And that's one of those things too. What I would ask myself is, if, let's say you're working for a company or whatever the case may be, if the company is to do layoffs or go bankrupt or whatever the case, do you think you're going to be in a position to where you may be laid off? Or do you know that you're not in that position at all?
Are you the valued one?
Yeah, exactly. And that's how you should approach every single thing you do in life. And even if it's picking up the trash, I believe that 100%. I call it universal deposits, right? You're putting things out in the universe. You're doing all this stuff. Naturally, you're going to get things back. That's the stuff that I believe in too. But you do that with anything, and anything you do in life, you're going to be successful.
I love that. Everything's a blueprint. I love when you brought that up earlier, because your money's a blueprint. The way you think about money, the way you handle money, your success, the way anything you do is the pattern that you do it in. And just working with Jack to see how meticulous he is about everything makes fucking sense. That he is who he is. It just makes no sense. If he was sloppy and just kind of not very scheduled, like every moment's counted for, he would not have the success he has. So then I always try to reflect that like back towards me. I really try to hone in and structure my businesses better and my time management, and not afraid to say no, and not afraid to know my worth, and really filtering out the bullshit.
Yeah.
But it takes that, because like I'm mimicking little things that I know makes him great. It's really an accumulation of a lot of little things that really makes something really freaking epic, no matter what it is, whether it's sports, you get your conditioning, your skills, how much are you really honing in on your practices, like just see basketball.
Yeah.
How are you shooting your free throws? How many are you shooting in a row? Like all those little fundamental things make you the athlete you are, make you the business person you are. So like I love to study people and mimic their blueprints.
Yeah.
And
that's one thing we talk about all the time, is because now we'll see kids on social media. And I hate this. I hate it so much. And they'll be like, you see entrepreneur in their bio, or they're like, yeah, I worked 14 hours today. And it's like, well, where was the efficiency? What did you get done? And they're like, well, I made a vision board and did this. And it's like, all right, dude, well, that's, 14 hours doing nothing is going to get you nowhere versus even 1 hour of efficiency. And, talking about sports or anything like that, it's like, yeah, how much free throws are you shooting? Oh, I shot 1,000. How much efficient free throws did you do? Did your elbow pop out? Was it on your palm? Did you use your thumb to push off the ball? Did you do this, do that? And then what you do is you naturally create bad habits. So the guy who's shooting 1,000 free throws versus the guy who shot 100, perfect form, is not creating bad habits, and the guy that shot 1,000 is actually backstepping. John, you probably know that. You're a coach. You know what I mean? And it's crazy to think about that, because sometimes the more you work, the more you're actually hurting yourself, because you could be creating bad habits. If you're working when you're tired, what's going to happen?
I know.
So
Your
you
work's
call
going to be
that
shitty.
perfecting stupidity.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's perfecting
Bad muscle
stupidity.
memory. You can develop that too.
And that's with anything,
I think and this is the thing, going back to this, not to beat this dead horse, right? But imagine the people that are talking shit about LeBron James. If they measured themselves, how could you even talk about LeBron James? Because in every aspect, you don't measure up to him.
Yeah, well, that's one thing
so
with me
good,
too.
though.
I'm like, they spend so much time talking trash about other people rather than focusing on their own life.
Yeah, but I'm saying, let's think about this. Let's
But
stop
that's what it is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
If
It's
we
like
lined them up and said the
Oh, no.
people that are saying LeBron James sucks, and you bring him up and you're like, you don't measure up to him in any fucking way.
mhm,
Like zero. like,
yeah,
like, so what is the measurement? So if LeBron James sucks, then what does that make you? Because you're fucking 100 levels below him.
mhm.
So what are you, like dog shit? He sucks,
They're,
you're dog shit? Or what is that?
They're a professional analysis.
No.
of
You can't
sports.
do that. You can't do that.
No, I'm just talking shit, dude.
again,
That's what they are.
To me, it's the 3-year-old temper tantrum. They just
Yeah,
they're doing
or-
it for attention.
Or they're, you know, stuck
You
in the 90s and they think Michael Jordan is the only way to play basketball, and they don't you can't compare Michael Jordan to LeBron James. LeBron James is a freaking, how tall is LeBron? 6'10"? Michael Jordan's 6'6".
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You can't. MJ wasn't playing center, nor was he playing really a power
Did you
forward.
guys see the size? Did you see that one? You see that picture where they put them all three, like it was Kobe and Michael Jordan and LeBron.
Oh, yeah.
You see the size difference and everything.
Oh, huge.
Just
Well-
an animal. So it's two different animals, right?
And that's one thing, like what we talked about when we started this, and I'll admit it because we're on the topic. I freaking hated Kobe Bryant when he was playing. I hated Kobe because I was a LeBron James fan, and Kobe every freaking year. Why did I hate him? Because the
Kobe
Lakers were always winning, and
Yeah.
it pissed me off.
Yeah.
And my brother was a huge Laker fan, so he would talk
I
trash to me
remember that.
all the time. And he's like, "Oh," and then he hated LeBron. It was just one of those things,
Yeah.
right? And if you like this person, and it's like when I step back, and now it's unfortunate that yes, Kobe did pass, and I'm like, holy shit, dude. I didn't appreciate the greatness that Kobe was. I got to watch Kobe play live. And for that, I'm like, holy shit, I'm blessed to be able to do that. But I didn't appreciate watching Kobe and how great he was and his mentality and all of this stuff while he was still here. And that's the unfortunate thing.
Yeah, I think
and
that's
like
a human
that doc
condition.
says,
Unfortunately,
Mhm.
a human condition for overall is that we take things for granted. I mean, look, somebody like Eddie Van Halen just died. Now every television,
he's like top charts
you
now.
know, yeah, exactly. Now it's every bumper you hear or something like that, they're playing a riff by him, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I've been loving Eddie Van Halen for 30
Yeah.
years, and when I needed it to be pumped up, I put on an eruption, So, but by the same token, I think that's just an unfortunate human condition, and not for everybody, but for a lot of weak people, they project that hate and anger,
Yeah. Yeah, they do, 100%.
just because they have those inadequacies that they can't deal with
So
themselves.
you know what's crazy? Like you see the greats in their hand. You see how they hate Tom Brady, right?
Oh, yeah,
What is their fucking hate against Tom Brady? He's got a fucking
'Cause he
supermodel
wins.
wife.
'Cause he
He's
wins,
worth
yeah.
$1 billion. He wins. He's the best. The best. In the
Hey, Dan Bilzerian, dude, everyone hates that guy.
I don't. Do they hate him?
hate him.
I thought they loved him.
No, a lot of people hate that
Do
guy,
they?
dude. Yeah.
Well, fuck you telling me bad information. He just changed it on me.
Yeah.
He said they love it now. So this is what I'm telling you. Look, in my perspective, since I was a little guy, I've never been like stuck. People tell me, "What's your team?" And I said, "Wherever fucking LeBron James plays, that's where I roll." Bottom line, you know what I mean? But this is what I'm talking about, right? I like to follow greatness. It's just who I am. The Tom Brady's and LeBron James, just greatness. The Floyd Mayweathers, the Mike Tysons, all that. I never saw. I was like, well, those are great. No matter what time period, the Michael Jordans, Magic Johnson, I always see this greatness in everybody. I'm like, man, what you I take? Man, would I love to be like that? You know what I'm trying to say? Be able to move like those guys. I don't sit there and like, oh, well, Johnny Schmo here's, Bill Russell was really killing it back then. I don't give a shit. I'm like, okay, that's great. But I only know what I experienced, and so I can say that, And I think that if people just focused on themselves and said, you know what, if I call LeBron James, he sucks, then I'm dog shit. Because we're just going to measure off true measurables. And this is what I want to get to. This is why I want to get into the psyche of everyone listening. If you're going to criticize something, you better be doing something great or greater than the person you're criticizing. And so I'm going to give an example. If I'm sitting here and I'm broke as shit, the general cannot go over there and sit with Warren Buffett and advise him about money. I can't do it. He's a billionaire. Multimillionaires cannot advise billionaires. I cannot, as good as an engineer as I am, I cannot go fucking advise Bill Gates in how to create processes. As badass as a CEO that I am, I could have never sat with Jack Welch and told him what to fucking do. Because they're greater than me, by far. And I'm okay with that.
but you honor that, and that's what
Yeah,
makes
and
you
that's
great.
something we'll never do.
That's
I mean,
what
that's
makes
even
you
happening
great.
in politics. You know, I know we're going to steer into that anyway, but it's like so much people criticize, you know, the left or right, and it's like, okay, well, are you going to go and run for office, or what are you doing? What are you pushing forward? What are you with your beliefs?
Yeah, but
besides talking shit?
yeah, they're not greater than any of the politicians.
You know
right?
what I mean?
Like, you know, you sit there and no
It's
matter
the
what
same
fuck,
game.
Let's talk about that, right? Let's just be an example, right? All of us that talk shit, if they measure us up to Biden or fucking Trump, we're dog shit. I mean, just based on accomplishments. It's just
That's why I don't get in arguments with
Yeah.
John.
No,
I just
but-
listen.
but
I'm like,
listen, ultimately, it's a true statement. We can disagree with a lot of things, but this is what I want to keep on the point is, I really want people to really sit back and say, before I open my mouth, what am I doing in life? And this is what I'm trying to tell you about what I've seen in my life. When people would tell me like, well, do you know how many people you could be helping if you didn't have 3 Lamborghinis, you had 4 at the time, right? And I'd be like, well, how many people would you help? Well, you know, I got to feed the family. Well, shut the fuck up because I just donated $100,000. Do you see what I'm trying to tell you?
yeah,
But what I'm saying is that if you're over there talking about what you should be doing in something, you better not be living in a glass house.
hmm
You know what I'm trying to tell you?
yeah,
And that's in anything in your life. It could be, you know, family members that used to try to give me shit. I'm like, dude, you only accomplished this. You're really not that fucking great. You're great on the tiny circle of morons. Yeah, you're not an alcoholic. You know this, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't make any sense.
I found an article about this exact same topic, and it's in entrepreneurs.com, and the title is called, and I actually posted in the comments, why the most successful people have the most haters. And there's a little subheading in here, and it says, why do haters hate? And I'll put it in as a banner, and I'll put it in the comments. Criticism is self-hate turned outwards. Okay, I believe hate is often a sign of weakness, envy, and fear. Haters hate on you because you're doing what they cannot
want to do.
They will not, or are too afraid to attempt.
Mhm.
And I thought that was good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would love to be LeBron James. I mean, I would love to be
Ooh.
6'10", dude.
People
With
hate
the
people hate on
$150 million
people hate on Justin Bieber, and I'm like, dude, okay, I'll take it.
Dude, the guy's like 2 years older than me and is like
Yeah.
$500 million worth. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, God,
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
love to be that kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't hate on anyone.
No.
no, I
Because,
mean,
like,
it's
I don't like the Patriots, but I have immense respect for Tom Brady. To come from a 6th-round pick to not even really be that great of a college player.
or Belichick.
So-
you know what I mean?
no, no.
It's even like the
Belichick,
Spurs.
I've read
Coach
Belichick's
Pop?
book. Oh no.
Coach Pop, everyone hated the Spurs. Well, not everyone, but a lot
Yeah.
of people did because why? Every freaking year, well, before the whole team retired, they were always in the conference finals or the championship
Mhm.
every single year. And it was like, who's going to take these dudes off? And they were like that since
Yeah.
early 2000s.
Because they're
easy.
doing what they cannot,
Yeah.
will not, or are too afraid to
Kim
attempt.
Yeah,
Jamie.
exactly. It's like, God bless, man. And that's why a lot of people even hated the Bulls. A lot of these people have said, oh, yeah, it was Bulls fans.
No.
They weren't Bulls fans until
No.
the Bulls split up.
Yeah,
And they're like,
that's true
holy
statement.
shit, they won 6 rings. You know, they were badass.
Once
the
the
same
band
thing.
breaks up, everyone's
Yeah, same thing. When Kobe left or he retired, then everyone's like, oh my gosh, you know, Kobe was great. And it's like, well, now you're saying that because he's not beating your team every year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
it's
crazy.
It is crazy, and I think that ultimately, this is where we really got to wake up and say, "Shit, what am I going to do to become great?" So people are talking shit about you or talking anyway. You're doing great things. It doesn't matter,
Mhm.
right? So instead of sitting there and focus on the negative words or this or what they're saying, you take that and make it just fucking fuel you, right?
Mhm.
Just fuel you to go to the next level. Period.
Yep.
Right? And I think that's what you got to realize, and that's been my fuel my whole life. Is
Yeah.
the fucking haters get me motivated, right? And I'm like, okay, this is what's gonna happen. But ultimately, I do everything based on myself. Like I'm probably the most.
That's the
selfish-
biggest thing that I could advise the people to, for whatever my word is worth, I guess. But just because I went through that shit last year, you know what I mean? I bought these certain cars and I was like, yeah, you know, I'm freaking proving everyone I made it and this and that. And everyone was like pissed because I did that, you know? And I was like, and me and Jack had the talk. I'm like, dude, my generation's different. They don't like flashy. They don't like success.
But-
they don't like none of this shit. Like if you have it, you're like Satan.
But
And
it's
now
not your
I'm like,
generation. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the
It's the
same.
same.
It's
the same.
all the same because my uncle, the people in his neighborhood where he grew up, he drive his Corvette in there, and all the neighbors hated him.
yeah,
you know,
talking
so
about
he had to flee Alameda because people didn't like him because he was a golfer, lived on the country club,
Yeah.
wasn't going to be in that Alameda mentality.
Yeah.
And people, and it's not a generational thing. It's unfortunately, it's just it's a
human
pathetic
nature.
human.
And you know what's crazy too is there's some
behavior.
stuff that people like in my neighborhood, right where I grew up, some of the adults and stuff, they would always say, yeah, you're doing so good. And then when I pull up in a Maserati or my Range Rover or whatever, then they're like, you don't hear from them. But then if someone else pulls up in the car, oh, this is sick, this is badass, and it's like, dude, my car is better than that one, and you didn't even
Acknowledge me.
flip me off or anything. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit.
You know what's funny? I always say
It's crazy.
Sometimes
that really does happen. Like that happened to me several times.
That's been my whole life. Sometimes I don't. You know what? I just don't fucking like you. Is a lot better.
Yeah, it is.
But, okay, so like from my son's perspective, so
I bet you he's feeling a lot too.
It's immense. So he was in the paper a couple Saturdays ago for when we went to Las Vegas, and I had to promote that, but I let the journalist know. He did an interview with him, and it's so coincidental. Aiden's sitting there on the phone doing an interview with the journalist, and we're at La Cueva High School.
Yeah,
and we've been doing 7-on-7s, during this time. In probably violation. Yes, definitely
so
violation.
they're trying to.
Okay, so Channel 7 hides in the bushes and films us. Okay, so the news story comes out Friday night at 10 o'clock. Saturday morning, my son's in the paper, made the cover of the sports page, talking about all his accomplishments, how, when you went out to Las Vegas, the select thing that he went through. I didn't get any calls on the article, but I got text messages saying, I saw your kid on the news.
Violation of
I saw
of
your
course,
kid on the news.
that's how it goes,
Exactly. I'm like, so I sent him the article, and I'm like, well, you didn't see this? Oh yeah, I saw that. Well, thanks for saying.
They don't
something.
care about
the
it.
funny part is-
They like to see the bad.
People like to celebrate in your losses or your hurts.
Schadenfreude.
Yeah, but the funny part is, everyone tells me, I used to hit people fierce, right? I was in a predicament a lot of years back. And people were like, I was calling on you because I saw you on the news and I was worried about you. I said, what is there to fucking worry about? Right? I'm over fucking 6 foot tall, over 230.
They just wanted to.
I know I have a double black belt, and I got about I'm not going to give the numbers, but it's a lot above the multi-mil, right? What am I going to worry about? Think about it, I got all aspects covered. But what I wanted to say, and so this guy got really sly with me, right? And he told me he tried to get really, and his wife had taken her to the paint like that. And so he snarked. And I said, you know what me and you have both in common? He says, we both tried to get fucked except you got fucked and I didn't. And so he couldn't take it, right? Because the other thing, I would be like, you fucking pipsqueak, right? And I could have just annihilated. I wanted to just go general status, right? But I didn't. I held back. But what I'm telling you is we all get emotional. We all get these feelings and it's okay. But what I'm trying to teach is this. Don't let it stop you from moving forward.
Yeah.
Like when you're just there stuck and you're looking around, you're mad in the car. Enjoy the fucking car. I think one of the things that I think that got in your psyche, Winston, is, and I kind of saw this, is between all that, then you shied away from being who you want and you really enjoy the car, but now you're kind of in a limbo. And you got to just pick up, I call it the general's attitude. And the general's attitude was actually crafted after Floyd Mayweather's attitude. I can't even take credit for it. And I actually, dude, I spent time with Floyd. I've told you the story. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I realized is that whether you're doing great or you suck or this, people don't like it. So what the fuck matters?
Yeah.
Just be you, right?
It doesn't pay your bills.
So let me tell everyone watching.
I want to stop you real quick too, because even with all that, you got to do it for yourself. But even I sold the car, right? Because I made some money. I bought it on a good price. I sold it, made some cash. No one knows that story. And I had a family member. I was at their house like 2 weeks ago, and you know what she says? Oh. Did you get rid of that Maserati? I said, yeah. But I didn't really tell. I don't tell no one what I do. Yeah. I just let them kind of talk. And the first thing she says is, was the insurance too expensive? What? No. It was a lot. I told her, yeah, it was a lot, but it wasn't a money issue. Yeah. I said, everything's for sale. If I buy something for $10 and they want to buy that product for $50, I'm going to sell it.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh. And then I was just like, instantly they go to think, oh, he sold the car because he couldn't afford it or this or that. And it's like, oh my God, man.
That's what you hit with the loaf.
Hey, what did I show you yesterday?
Slice.
The bread slice.
I tell you know what's funny? I said, you just hit him with the loaf, then everyone's minds are like,
yeah.
Trust me. And it's funny because you find yourself doing these psychological fucking warfare, I call it, with people, right? To throw them off the kilter. I used to get a lot of like, I actually liked it, right? Because I'm a fucking jokester. If you meet me, so I just like fucking with you. So like if you know you're a hater, I'll just continue fucking with you. Right? I was a fighter. It's like throwing you off. So I'm like gonna continue fucking with you till you break. And so psychologically, one of the greatest things I used to do to people, and they'd be there like trying to give me advice. And one of the things I do is I just get 2 big old stacks, right? Sometimes $200,000 and put them in a plate. And see, what are you gonna have for lunch? Right? And they're just fucking mentally fucked. They can't get their minds out there. And this is what I would do, right? And I would say, do you think I really give a shit? I don't give a shit.
Yeah, he would do that too.
Yeah.
Basically, what I've learned in spending all the time with Jack is if don't talk shit to him unless you got more money than him, some better results at anything, because he's gonna go in and it's gonna get dark. You're gonna be in the cave.
Oh, it's the game of poker.
That's why
he has a bigger stack
I
of
don't
chips.
say anything.
Bigger stack of chips.
Once I get the bigger stack of chips, then I'm gonna be like,
then
Then he's gonna come in. But then he doesn't know. Because you know what? The same time he's going, I'm going too, right? That's why I fucking always like to hang with younger guys.
yeah. I know, because they keep you hungry.
They keep you hungry, and people don't realize. You know, it's like when I saw one of my best friends talking about. A lot of guys are talking about they're going out to pasture and they're this, and I'm like, you're on your fucking own, dude. 1 year older than me by 5 years, so I don't give a shit. So we're not in the same demographic. You gonna go on your own. And then I hit him with the Michael Hearn, right? And everybody's mad. And I'm like, he's 52. What is it saying? And I'm like, what do you think this guy did? And they're like, this one guy told me, well, that's kind of weird that you would have a picture of some dude on your phone. I said, no. What's weird is that you're fucking only here telling me that you can't get it up anymore. And you're not fucking 80 years old, you know, because my uncle is still getting it up at 80 years old. He told you know, that's telling me the story. But this is what I'm trying to say, guys, is ultimately, it doesn't matter what you do. Look, one of the figures that I want to use on the political side is Bill Clinton. Okay? And John might be able to help me, but I say arguably Bill Clinton was a fucking hell of a president. A lot of great things happened to him. But let's even go on the drug side, right? I was watching Narcos, and I'm going through this, and I got to season 3, and you know they're taking out the Cali cartel, and these guys were organized like a son of a bitch, just got it done. But Bill Clinton pops up, and he did some pretty major shit in order to be able to take down these bad guys internationally. He had the balls; he didn't really care. But then it goes through; he becomes great. Everything's out of the deficit. I mean, all that, and then here comes the Monica Lewinsky deal, right? And everybody wants to bring him to the crucifixion. And I'm sitting here, and you know, don't take my opinion because I'm fucking skewed as shit, right? I'm not, you know, I'm kind of on the Floyd Mayweather side. But even when I was little, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, what did he do, right? And my dad's kind of like doesn't know what to say because I was a kid, right? And he says, well, you know, and then I find out he got a blowjob, and I think, you know, these motherfuckers are getting blowjobs and nothing happens to them, but because he was the president. And so I said, but what it was like, well, he lied. He lied under oath, and I'm thinking, dude, you want to crucify somebody for something there because he's supposed to hold this standard. He's just fucking human. And what we brought him to play was to keep the country great. And at the time, the country was great. Everything was great. So I'm always confused, but you got to find something wrong. So when you sign up to be president of the United States, you're signing up to be the biggest fucking dartboard ever. And you better have an iron coat, so you can withstand all the fucking darts. Doesn't matter what it is. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the presidents that are smart, you know, aka the Bushes, right? Bush Jr., fucking made a lot of money out of it. And I'm not saying you should, but you get there, you sit there, well, shit, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't, better not just out of my pocket. But on that sense of talking about Clinton, you know, a lot of great things were happening. That's not me just fucking in. I'm not a Clinton fan, but I'm telling you, in the presidency. But did the pressure finally turn him? You know, now they found all the stuff with the, you know, the Clinton Foundation and stuff like that. I'm thinking, did they just finally push this fucking dude and say, fuck you? I came out doing this and it wasn't good enough.
I think the entire institution is corrupt because it's completely revolves around money. And for you to run any type of campaign, it takes money.
Yeah.
And unless you're independently wealthy, somebody like, say, Ross Perot, billionaire that wanted to do good things for his country, okay, and just used his own money. You know, some politicians have said that, but they don't. They still take money and then they abuse that power, abuse that wealth. I think, so again, that entire system revolves around money, and it's not like that in every country. So in Canada, if you want to run for prime minister, there's one pile of money. When that pile of money is gone, if there's 7 people that's pulling on that pile, then there's no more ads, no more radio shows, no more signs, no more this. But we have, and protected by that is the Citizens United Supreme Court decision that says that money is freedom of speech. So these corporations can now go in there and they can buy politicians, or if you're a wealthy billionaire, Steve Wynn or Sheldon Adelson from Vegas, you can go, or George Soros on the other side, you can go in and your money can control people.
Well, did you see I go back to Narcos, when they took down the guy from the Cali cartel was so smart. This guy ran it like a Fortune 500. They called him, he made Time magazine. He actually bought the president.
Oh yeah.
He bought them and put them in, and then he cut that deal so that they'd go in and do like 3 months or 90 days and then come out and then be legit, right? You look at that and that's exactly it. It's exactly it. This shit's been happening way before I was born.
Oh no, it's how it's going to continue to be too. I mean,
theoretically, you can fix those things by changing, number one, the Electoral College, getting rid of that. That changes things, because then now you don't have, say like you have Orange County, which has, I forget how many millions of people, but there are 14 states that have the same amount of population as Orange County and Los Angeles. But Orange County has 2 senators, and those 14 states have 28 senators.
Yes.
So talk about affirmative action right there. That's saying these people in this little concentrated area have 2 people representing them. These 14 states have 28 people representing them in the Electoral College. Mm-hmm. So that's how things can fix that, changing that. And then also removing money from politics by just saying, you pass a law that says there's just going to be public financing of elections. Oh, how are we going to figure this? Oh, we'll just look right there at Canada. Canada does it. Okay. So there are ways to fix that. It's just people are reluctant to change because it's painful and because there's a lot of money to be made with this old system, corrupt way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of the crazy stuff. So ultimately, we can't change shit. It goes back to your system.
I'm hopeful. I'm quixotic and saying, I have hope. And I have hope because it's the young people. So hopefully in 10 years, and I always write this all the time, these older people love to say the 1900s is, the people from World War II, they're the greatest generation. Yeah, but then I kind of poke holes in that whole philosophy, because I look at the 1900s and there were 2 world wars. There was segregation, racism. There was some of our best political and social leaders were assassinated. There was pollution for profit, So those things happened. We detonated a nuclear bomb, 2 of them in Japan. You know what I'm saying?
That was a good thing, baby. We needed that, John. Just so you know, you'd be screwed right now, baby.
No, we didn't. So I look at that last generation and say, whew, the 1900s were pretty rough, and the other centuries before that. That's why I have hope and faith for the future, because I think young people they don't care about if you're gay and you're going to want to get married. They don't care that you choose not to live alone or to not have children. I think and I have faith in young people. That's why I always try to be hopeful. Am I critical of young people? Carson, I'm tough. I'm tough on young people, but at the same time, I have faith in you guys.
But I put this, John. Okay, let me tell you this. In the time when we go 1900s, right? We're going to go kind of pre-frontier kind of deal. Mm-hmm. I would say that I wouldn't want this generation fucking 40 in this country, because we would have, based on the heat would have hit, everybody would have rolled over. So I think the thing that we see is those people in the 1900s, they were just tough as nails. So I know this from a fighter, right? When most fighters become successful, like I'm saying monetary successful, they're not as hungry and it's not as dangerous. It's a big difference if you're sitting out there in the shitholes of, let's say, the Vadio, and you're just grinding every day, right? And you want to get out of there. But when you get out there and then you get out and you're not there anymore, they say that killer instinct dies, and it does. It just not the same animal. Then you're fighting for different things, right? So I think in those days, in the era that we were, the world was more savage. You know, I saw this meme the other day, made my ass laugh, and says, if your dad's from 35 to 48, don't fuck with him because Biggie, Tupac, Dr. Dre, and I raised them.
Yeah.
And it's a true statement. It's just we're more aggressive. And then our forefathers before that more aggressive, and then and so on. But I think we evolve with the times because there's not as much turmoil out there. If we were still fucking out there throwing holazos every day for our lives, trust me, we wouldn't feel this way because it was brutal. Or on the strong side.
That's judgment. Now you have a sleeve of tattoos. No one really cares. I could put a pride tattoo on my neck. No one's gonna really say
but
anything.
10 years ago, that was very different.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
that's how much that's why I say how quickly we've evolved because of young people saying, you know what, Dad, quit being a dumbass. You know what? That's not cool.
Yeah.
You know, I have to tell my father sometimes because he's a product of that middle 19th century, born in 1947.
Oh, shit,
and
man.
his language that he uses, I'm like, Dad, you cannot talk that way.
That's how my grandma is too.
Gannon's best friend is
She's
an African American. You know what? We don't talk that way.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, and I'm like, no. And him and I literally get close to fist fights because I'm just not going to let him. And he's old. He's 72, you know, and he doesn't want to change. And I'm like, then shut the hell up.
Yeah.
You know?
But you got to tell him to say, okay, Dad. And you got to be able to fight. And so you talk shit, and the 6'10" guy kicking the shit out of you.
Yeah, but they're not going to fight him. They're going to fight
yeah.
you.
Well, you know what I do? You know what's so funny? I used to have friends like that that run their mouth. And then you know what's funny? We're in a situation like that at this bar here in Albuquerque, and everybody knew that I was the fucking wrecker, right? And so he started talking shit. You know what I said? I said, I really don't got a problem with you guys. This guy does. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let him handle himself, but you guys can't fuck with him. Through it, he should have seen it, solved all that, and he was all mad. He's all beat up. He's like, you just let that happen to me. I said, no, you ran your fucking mouth, making the assumption that the pit bull was gonna come in, but the pit didn't want to. Because
Well, yeah, that's something that's like paying the tab for someone else's decision. You know what I mean? You can't do that.
Well,
if you're at least telling them, hey, don't be doing that, and they still do it, then they gotta wreak the havoc.
I have a funny TikTok that kind of goes along with this. This generation's a lot softer. Let me see if I can get it to play here.
As the get your ass beat generation.
Okay, let me start it over.
Well, I
We'll start making TikToks. Fuck it. I can't beat them. I want to join them.
Okay.
Ready, Nikki? Let's get the
generation did not produce the same quality citizens as
Okay.
the
Let me start it over so I can get it right.
Yeah.
God dang it, it keeps muting
obvious
it.
that the timeout generation did not produce the same quality citizens as the get your ass beat generation. Well, I think
I thought that was a good one. Did you hear that one, Jack?
Yeah.
So
Timeout.
the timeout
Yeah.
generation
Versus the
didn't produce
The
the quality.
soapbox.
Yeah, as the I'm gonna
Yeah.
kick your ass. And my sons, they knew, and it was never ever I'm gonna beat them all the time, but they knew, fuck, you're gonna push me and fucking go put your hands on the fucking
Well,
chest.
I'm telling you something right now, John. If I had kids, it would not be the timeout zone.
I agree.
It's gonna be the
And
fucking. You're getting your
I'm
ass
not that
kicked.
type of parent either. So,
Yeah.
but I've seen those ideologies and how they don't work. Because literally, I'm divorced, but my ex had that attitude of, oh, don't, no. And I'm like, fuck.
Well, now you see these little kids telling their parents to F off and all this shit. And it's like, now you can kind of see it starting to come because it's like when someone doesn't get their way, then they start complaining about everything and F the world and I hate it here and all this crap. And it's like, what are you going to do about it?
No, I know.
Weak sauce. It's
Yeah.
the weak sauce.
Yeah.
You can't eat the donuts and have a six pack, dude.
The weak
So
sauce.
you get the non-judgment, victimization. You know what I mean? It's like there's really never going to be no perfect
I don't
realm.
know. I saw the Rocky 12 a dozen donuts there.
Who?
The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah, he
Is
could
that
do
part
it.
of
He
his
can't do that all the
10,000 calories
time.
that he's mowing?
That's his
Yeah.
cheat day, dude.
Yeah.
That dude eats like 10,000 calories a
Yeah.
day, and he starts at 4 a.m. and has to eat like 2 dozen eggs.
Yeah.
Are
Well,
you
he-
serious?
Or
Wow.
look
Oh,
at the
yeah.
mountain, the mountain
He's a
from Game of
freaking
Thrones.
6'6", freaking almost 400-pound tank, lean.
You know what's crazy as hell? I saw this
10,000
one dude
calories a
too,
day.
where he was like that. And he's like, this isn't his son when he was dreaming as a funny shit. And he's got like the fucking sickest meals I wouldn't even eat. He got the pancakes, fried chicken, and a burger, dude.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, fuck. And he's like, and no, they take it fucking down, like you said, right? At my highest peak, I used to take about 6,000 calories down too, and I could fucking tear it up. But you're maintaining that size at all times.
Because if not, your body eats itself.
Yeah,
You have to.
Yeah. Then you lose everything because your
But
body
yeah.
thinks you're starving.
Oh yeah, no, you have
It's a real
to.
thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
it
wanna
is.
I want to go back to the greatness thing because I love that we should always go with the mind. Are you coming in the state of gratitude or lack of is like the biggest thing, and that's how you know your results and everything, you know? So like I took, when we were talking about everything, it took me back to sports, and I love to meet the best basketball players or the best other person on the other team. I'd want to be their best friends because I always wanted to collect people with greatness.
Mhm.
I wanted to have, even if they were on the other side, even when I boxed, the girl that I fought like 5-6 times in a row, we became friends, but I wanted her to, she was so good at fighting that like when I didn't fight her, I was her biggest fan, you know, because I knew how great they were. Even Mandy Montoya, look at her killing it on the coaching game. But I grew up spending till like 2 a.m. till our parents told us to come in playing, but she was so much better than me. And I never let her know that I knew she was better than me because I always was going to be
But
better
Nikki,
than her. But
the points were going to reflect that. So you play 1-on-1, you get smoked. She
hey,
knew she was
I wasn't
better.
getting smoked, but I wasn't getting smoked.
No,
I was getting better and I was getting
but
smarter.
we're getting beat.
Never.
Well, then how could she be better than you then?
No, she just was older and more experienced
No, but
than
when
me.
you're playing 1-on-1, who was winning?
I mean, we would go like, it was always tie. It was like, we
Well,
would go, we were both good. And so there was days where I had a day off.
She doesn't want to give you your point. Don't you see?
You know what's
She doesn't want to
I
give you your
Let
point.
me have my moment, Jack.
I won't deny my greatness.
You know what's no, she's not denying the greatness.
Don't let him take it from you. Don't let him take
You know,
it.
I'm not taking it. You know what's so funny? Let me just tell you something. We're talking about judging greatness. I love Nikki, right? Nikki's my girl. You know that. And I give her the shit. She comes out with the gratitude deal, right? And I said, this is true. But this is what I want to get. This is what I want. This bottom line is this. Is you're not going to be a person like this podcast in this moment, Nikki. You don't even fit in it because you don't ever have the. You like everybody. Like you're just like you're fucking great, right? The fucking guy sucks. You're like he's great. You know, he had the way he walked.
The guy sucks.
When he walked, he really deposited into the universe, right? And me, I'm like that fucker sucks, right? Why? Well, I'm gonna fucking tell you why he sucks. You know this stuff. But this is what I'm saying. And this is what I'm talking about for like when you're out there, even for yourself. But we've had these talks where people are criticizing you. In sports, it's about points and accolades. In business, it's your fucking financial statement and the money you've earned. It don't matter to say how great you are. You better be fucking killing it in that and whatever you are, whether it's in technology and this.
It's the result, like we talked about.
Jason Goodman once told me this, right? He comes into me and says, he came all cocky, right? And he says, you know what? I'm the #1 water salesman in the United States.
I remember that.
No, he did.
Yeah,
right?
he did.
Fucking comes in, he lays it down, and he's like that. And I say, you know what's funny, Jason? In technology, I'm probably like in the top 50. But my bank account for being in the top 50, and I went into the board and I drew a dot. And I said, this is you. And then I drew a fucking circle. And I said, when this circle comes over you, it eclipses you. So I wouldn't be proud of being the #1 fucking water salesman if you're getting eclipsed by the guy in the top 50 in one thing. But what I was trying to teach him is he's making a great celebration. That's not greatness. You're not measuring greatness. You got to know what the measurement is. And so what I'm talking about is when people are criticizing you and saying you're not great in whatever, we're talking about measuring that. Say, okay, asshole, you're not that great? Well, let's get it on the basketball court. You're better than me in basketball? Well, then we play 1-on-1. You should be on top. There is no we were tied. The fucking game don't go to tie because you play 21. It's either 21 or not.
Yeah.
If it's 10, it's 11. Whatever it is, what it is. And it's funny because we play volleyball. We go competitive volleyball, and we go in there and everyone's talking. Well, that's just improper and this and that. And I said, all I know is this: if I get in front of that fucking net, you're gonna get hurt. That I know, right? I know I have a leaping ability and I know I have massive strength. So regardless of the rest of the techniques in there, but what I always deliver the promise. And it's funny because me and Mo Guada, I'm very athletic, and he was very athletic, right? And I said, dude, I'm athletic, but I'm just straight brute power. And so we're laughing at this, but it doesn't matter. When we play, what does the scores reflect? And that's what I'm talking about. And so don't get people caught up in the talking ahead. What does it reflect? Bottom line. You know what I'm trying to say?
How you're measuring your greatness.
Fucking no matter.
Yeah.
We can look at something and say, well, you know what? I'll tell you a funny story. People tell me this all the time. And it doesn't matter to me. So I have a 65 Mustang. Beautiful car, right? All redone. And they'll come in and they'll be like, you know what? Of all your cars, this is the one.
This is my favorite.
Yeah. And I don't give a fuck because they're all mine, right? Or the 2005 Hummer, right? Nice car, fucking badass. Never gonna sell 100,000 miles in this thing. But of all your cars, this.
That's the must be nice thing, dude.
No. Well, you know what I want to say? But the mind is of all your cars. What you're fucking telling me is that you're saying my possibility and my attainability is probably this. So I'm gonna say it's this because I can never fucking achieve
Get the
this.
Lamborghinis, yeah.
You see what I'm trying to say?
Mhm.
But you're talking to the guy, and I say, well, you know what? To me, it doesn't matter because I want them all.
Well, it's like that show we watched, the
Well, if there's
freaking
a-
race one,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
do the same thing. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I'd rather build a $10,000 beater. And they're like talking shit about the guy who pulls up in a hypercar. And it's like, that thing still beat your car. What do you mean you would rather?
Someone tells me this one time, right? I have a fucking fast Viper. So they used to always talk about those fucking Nissans. I forget the names right now.
The GTR.
Here we go. And so he's talking about this, and this. I hope Andrea's listening to this, and even Matt. So he
Oh,
came
yeah.
out, and I fucking smoked him right all the way. That's when they couldn't understand what it was. I had found the secret sauce. But then the guy comes and says, "I'm gonna build this," and I said, "But I want you to know this: when me and you pull up to Mastro's in Orange County, California, Nissans are parked over there, Lambos are parked over here, so it doesn't really matter what you say." And it's not to be a fucking hater. I don't care. But when you come at me that way, it's the levels. It's the bottom line. And so what we have to do, if we want greatness truly as an individual, we got to be able to respect it. If you truly want to be great, you need to be able to walk in there in greatness. The general, his Ford Escort, no fucking AC, paint falling off. And I roll up to some big old pads, and I'd be like, this is fucking badass. I'm walking these pads. I wasn't like, oh, that's not my dream thing. That guest
Yeah,
house.
no way.
That guest house is
Yeah.
fucking, this pad, that guest house, dude. is
Yeah.
fucking real. And so what I'm talking about,
The flower plant in
so
the back.
what you're telling yourself is, I'm not ready for fucking greatness. And it's not always about measurability. It's not always about monetary. It's not what we're fucking talking about. It's like your son. I've been, after I met you, and I fucking researched, I'm like, this fucking kid's gonna do it. So I'm there talking, I'm all excited, right? And you can tell people have a fucking envy. And I'm like, dude, you're fucking envy. You should be fucking happy if the guy's fucking 6'3" or fucking 6'4", whatever the fuck. What is an inch? And when you sit there, I'm like, I'm not gonna be out there. It's like, you know what? You got a big bank account. I'm not gonna go out there and check the decimals. It is what it is. But that's what I'm trying to talk about. And so what we don't want to ever get caught up in is fucking stupidity, measuring greatness. So Nikki, when you play 1-on-1, I want the fucking score. There is no ties, because then that means that's mediocrity. And so there's gonna be that. So whatever it is, we go on the basketball court. I want to win. So that's the way I do it. I go, it's funny. Derek says, this is a family game. I said, there is no fucking family game when I get there. Zero.
Mhm.
They're like, oh, you come out with the meat? I said, I come ready.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, it's just who my competitive nature is. If I go out there and I was all sleepy poo, you'd be like, what happened to this dude? I'm not going to lose my edge. So like, listen, I'm going to come. But that's just my personality.
That's greatness. It's like always turning the fire up.
Always up.
Always turning the fire
There
up.
is no this, that, the other. No, like you said. Winston walked in, and I said to him, I said, fucker has, that's a badass. I wasn't there like, oh, me, dude, I got all these, but I'm more into fucking land sales. You know what I mean?
Or even like people I see in real estate all the time. They walk, if I'm at a luxury house, right? When I have an open house or we have an event, people are coming in, God, this house is too big. And arguably it's the best house in the freaking state. This is too big. What do you need all this for? And blah, blah, blah. And it's like, because it's badass. Like, you can't appreciate this? You know what I mean? It happens all the time. And that I see it happen all the time with Jack too. Oh, I would just have that Dodge truck you have and I'll be good. I don't know why you need all these. You know what I mean? It's
But
like,
you-
it's crazy.
But at the end of the day, and it's like, people that have like, opinion on people's relationships. Well, I can't believe, the house wife would allow that. I'm thinking, you're not fucking in charge. Like, you allow what? You're not the fucking Gestapo. And this is where I've always sat in my life. And it's like, we have friends that, they do the thing. It doesn't matter to me. I don't have an opinion. I'm not there paying the fucking bills. I don't care.
We're not going and sleeping in there.
We're not in their fucking bedroom there. This is the things that I tell people that I don't have that. And so I just tell, it's kind of like, I love what you said, John. Like, my mom used to tell me when I was a little boy, make sure you make the right decisions. Don't be having babies. Don't have this. And I know I used to be people for ourselves. You have any kids? They'd be like, no, I don't have any kids. And it'd be like, I fucking said I have cancer. So I'm like, the fuck do I says? I'm like, do you have any Lambos? Okay. Right. At the end of the day, it's all my choice. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing. I don't give a fuck. Right?
Well, it's even you'll see some people in relationships because their family likes the person, right? But the person goes home miserable every day.
Yes.
And they're excited because they get to see him around the holidays 3-4 times a year. And they're like, yeah. But this guy's over here making a decision for everyone else. And he's got to be with the person every damn day, miserable. You know what I mean?
And that's
And
heavy.
that's the same
I've seen
thing.
that many times.
Yeah,
like,
no,
many
it really
times.
does happen. And that's one thing why it's kind of looping back around is, or when I got these cars and did all this, and it was like I was doing it for other people, right? To prove people or to do this. And then what I've realized now is, and I've had the conversation with you on how my perspective's changed, is I'm just doing things for myself, and some people are like, oh, you're selfish now. And it's like, well, yeah, because I was giving my shirts to you and you didn't give me anything back. So yeah, call it what you want.
You know what's funny? This is the shit that I told him right early on the day I met him. Be selfish for yourself. Fuck it what it is. If you're happy, be happy. I've always told this story. When I hit major success, I remember buying my Corvette, and that's the first time I was major. And me and my dad are driving over the mountain, and me and him sharing that moment to this day, I've never been able to fulfill that moment. And I can talk all the shit I want because I bought all the fucking cars, right? I've never fulfilled that moment. That moment to this moment was like, holy shit. Like, I was
It's like a heroin high.
yeah,
Heroin
you know what I'm trying to tell you?
Oh yeah, no.
And so, but people,
That first, you can never ever relive that first.
I can't. And it's not because I'm whatever. I'm happy and I'm in gratitude and it's great and it's this, but I can't. It's like that moment. It's so vivid to me driving over the fucking hill.
Mhm.
You know, and I thought that when I bought the Mercy and I dropped the bag like 50 cents, me and my best friend the Doc, that I thought that'd be the same feel, and it was a shock and awe, but not the same feel.
Yeah, because your brain has already taught yourself that okay, that dopamine release or whatever, you can never ever recreate that because it's never felt that before. You
And
know?
if you imagine people that are, what I really feel bad is that they spend everything they got to try to get that same feeling,
Mhm.
and they lose it all or whatever. So just be happy where you're at.
Mhm.
Be happy in all the small things. Now we just circle to gratitude, the shit that you're accomplishing in life that are your milestones and your goals, but you still got to be up top. You still got to do these small things so you get there.
And you can't be great if you're doing what you don't love and you're not passionate about. It just doesn't really work. I mean, you can hit a level of success, but like true fucking greatness
I don't know, Nikki.
comes.
So I'm gonna tell you something. One of the things when I was talking to Floyd and I says, I was at that same question. Is boxing your thing? He's like, it's my God-given gift. Doesn't mean he loved it. I can't tell you that I think I fucking in love with technology and shit. No, just my God-given gift. But sometimes we're out there looking for what's not our God-given gift, and it's not there. So I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not in my passion, and I'm not in what I fucking love and all that, because I wouldn't be doing that. I'd be a porn star. I'm serious. I'm telling you. So that's not the passion. The passion is, so when I get up in the morning, I respect what I do. It's my craft. When I get up in the morning, I know that I'm going to beat the shit out of you no matter what city I'm in. I got guys that are working in Boston now saying, dude, Harmonix is in Boston, New York, you destroy it. I know I would. I've been there before. I've done it. I worked like that. That's what fuels me. So it's that points on the game. Going out there, I mean, you're a big, intricate piece of the website. Big, Nikki. What I do, what I bring you, you said I've done this for Fender, color combination. No one could touch you. I brought you there because you're great, not because you're woo-woo in the fucking field. I want to have a burger with you. But that touch you did, when I look at that website, I'm saying, yeah, this fucker took a year and a half, and it's been a pain in the ass. We're about to release them. He wouldn't have been here if fucking Nikki wouldn't have seen this shit, this piece, It's kind of like when I told you about Saul Su, and you're like, "Oh, I didn't know that." My eye is a different level of eye. You know what I'm trying to tell you? I mean, I know what I'm looking at, but I know it don't look good or it doesn't sound good or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. That's the greatness. It's like how you do certain things. I can't do what you do. I don't give a shit. I'm good with that. Bottom line. But I'm okay with my shortfalls. I'm not going to be there hating on you because there's certain stuff that you do that I'd be like, no fucking way. Okay, Nikki, bring Nikki. Okay, Saul does a certain thing. I know where people's strengths. But if you're a true coach of life or a business, in the stuff that you're kind of mediocre in, you get greater people than you. You put them in that position, and then you run the train, right? And I think that's something that I want you to really focus on for you. And I'm gonna be on your ass because you're the next level of greatness coming. Same with John. Like one thing I love about you, John, and we're gonna close this podcast here pretty quick. But I think like you, when I really got to feel with you after talking with my mom, and I feel this like just who you are in the mind and what you've done. You've achieved that greatness, and I think that sometimes we look at life and you weren't sitting there like, oh, I didn't do this, oh, I didn't do that, I could have done this. But what you've done in helping your kids to the next level, push them like hell, that in itself is fucking something I'll be able to do because I'm too selfish for myself. And I even know that I don't have kids, I know. And let me tell you why I can talk shit. When I was trying to explain to people the loss of my mom, and they're like, you're just going to be fucking crushed. And I'm like, I'm not going to be crushed. And 80 people told me this, I'm not going to be crushed. I know this mind and who I am. I'm going to be sad, but I am a very different human. I'm wired very different. But I couldn't have those conversations with people because people think, well, this guy's just nuts.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it's not how it is because I'm the most biggest fucking heart you'll meet. You know what I mean? You need me, I'm fucking there. I'm there. I'm like, okay. But I'm a different type of person how I show my love. Like, I ain't going to be there like, oh, good job. You know, me, I'm kind of give you that.
You do good. He said, well, you should be.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
No, but I will give you that uplift. I won't let you fucking fall. You know what I mean? But if anyone else attacks you, fuck, I'm in there heavy, battling your name. You know what I'm trying to tell you? And I did get that from my mom. I did get that from her. But what I want to say to close this off so we know this is right now, gratitude's gratitude, but greatness is immeasurable. And if you ain't fucking great, stop talking shit. Because no one gives a shit.
I love it.
Because the great people are just thinking of you as just mockery. Because when you're there saying LeBron James sucks, you're dog shit. And when you're this, because if you haven't achieved more than LeBron James, you shouldn't be talking about it. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know anybody that can be talking shit about LeBron James. Because like we said, John, he's the one that's put his pedal to the metal and said, I'll risk it all based on this to do this. And so you got to respect him in all aspects of where this guy came from. And so what I want to do is, it doesn't matter where you start, it's ultimately where you finish. But don't let the non-greatness people stop you from getting down your fucking road. So we're out.
Yes.
Good one. See you guys next week.
Harmonix Technologies, your New Mexico business IT solution. With incredible products that will fit your needs both big and small, and unmatched service, it's your vision delivered. Learn how we can help your business roar into action today. Harmonix Technologies, your New Mexico business IT solution.